Hello, everybody. My name is Kelly Sorensen. I'm the Executive Director at Ventana Wildlife Society, and you are here joining us at our monthly Condor Chat. One thing you'll notice, it's a little different for those that have been attending, is we have a sign language interpreter. So I want to welcome Anthony from American Language Services. Thanks for being here today, Anthony. And obviously, the reason for adding an interpreter is to expand our reach and to provide even more access to everyone as much as possible. So we're happy to do this. And moving right along, these Condor Chats typically occur on the last Thursday of the month. So watch for us for next month as well. You can sign up for a frequent Zoomer, which means we'll just remind you on the day of. And here's where you get to hear a lot about what's going on with condors out in the wild directly from those working with the birds, the Condor Crew. The first topic I wanted to mention, it's been all over the news that a condor was shot last year. And it wasn't immediately released to the public until a year later, just earlier in September. And that release came from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, who is leading the investigation. They put up a $5,000 reward, and in response to that, we immediately doubled it. Since then, we've had quite a few of you reaching out and asking if you can add to it further. And first off, before I answer that, I just want to mention a couple of things. Number one, kind of the obvious. The shooting of a condor can never be condoned, can never be accepted, and is absolutely horrendous. And I think that's the reason why this reward is so important. Hopefully, it'll lead to the arrest of those responsible. Having said that, this is kind of the last thing I want to be talking about. You know, it's a crushing blow to have a bird shot. And it's even perhaps more disturbing that, you know, there's someone out there willing to do that. And, you know, we've worked so hard to work with the community and providing free non-lead ammunition, for example, and really trying to help the community make a switch to using non-lead. And even though those two things aren't directly related, you know, they are somewhat related. And I just wanted to remind everyone that where we're really focusing our attention is reducing the threat of lead poisoning, primarily by helping those out in the field switch to a non-lead ammunition so that condors, eagles, and many other wildlife across the landscape can eat without fear of dying of lead poisoning. It's a huge problem across the landscape. It's not just a condor issue, but unfortunately, the condor tends to be the lightning rod. And I think that's the reason why, you know, even talking about a shooting and putting up a reward is uncomfortable for me. I would much rather be, you know, working in a collaborative way. But like I said, when something like this happens, we can't ignore it. And it's really important that we do something about it. And this reward is important. And I want to thank all of you who have contributed to that or have offered to do so. Getting back to the question, yes, you can add to that reward if you choose. I just want to also reiterate that our crew is out there working every day, 365 days out of the year almost, keeping track of these condors, their movements, capturing them when they're in need of assistance, medical treatments, and so forth. Soon enough, we hope to be trapping these birds to protect them against avian influenza to whatever extent we're able to do that. That's up and coming. That's going to be a huge effort. And again, just all that we're doing to help transition away from lead ammunition is a huge job. And so I just wanted to reiterate that we also need funding for that and not just the reward. Any contribution that is made toward the core operations right now will also be doubled by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And that's separate from the reward. We really have to keep these things separate because we have to keep those funds in an account somewhere, just sitting in the event that it gets paid out. And that will be determined by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and this investigation. So I guess, that was just my main thing I wanted to share about the reward. We really don't have any details to share because it's an ongoing investigation. We're really not at liberty to share anything except for, generally speaking, where it took place, and it was somewhere in San Benito County. So I really can't share any more than that. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. So anyway, with that, maybe we can turn our attention to more happy thoughts. And we have a full agenda today. But again, if you do want to contribute, whether it's to the reward or to our ongoing core operations, please do that on our website, going to the donate page, or any other typical way that you normally give by check or otherwise. So with that, thank you again. Thank you so much for your concern. We do hope that this perpetrator is caught. But more importantly, I think we want to see, no more shootings ever. This is a fairly rare incident, and we hope it becomes even more rare. So before I turn it over to the Condor Crew, I just want to mention who else here. So Joe Burnett is the program manager. He's going to be speaking mostly. Mike Stake is here. Looks like he's remote off traveling. And good to see you here, Mike. Mike runs our non-lead ammunition program and does a whole lot of things really for this organization. And for these chats, he fields our questions. And we have Darren Gross and Kara Fadden on the Condor Crew with us today, as well as interns Isaiah and Maeve. So with that, I'll turn it over to Joe, and thanks everybody for joining us today.
Oops. Well, we got a little trigger. Thanks, Kelly. Got a little trigger happy there with the mouse, but yeah, that's obviously that shooting was pretty shocking. And again, yeah, I wish we will provide info as it's given to us. Again, like Kelly said, it's an ongoing investigation, and obviously we hope they can find who did this horrible act. And as Kelly said, on to more uplifting news. The crew is doing great. We have some new additions, and yeah, they've been cutting their teeth since when you guys started on September 11th. And yeah, I think it's without further ado, we should go ahead and I'll run down a list here. Obviously, everyone knows Evan is not here today. He is our GIS specialist. He provided a map. We've received a ton of support from Tim Huntington for our database, and he's one of our volunteer extraordinaires. Also, veterinary advisor Amy Wells. She's going to be really key in helping us with our HPI prep, which I'm going to get into on this later in this talk, but I want to give those folks a shout out. And of course, introduce our new additions. Say hi to everybody, Maeve and Isaiah.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, hey, everyone.
I was going to say, maybe you guys can say where you're from originally and what you're most excited about this internship. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Or what you did cool this past week.
I know.
Your favorite thing about this past week.
Yeah, so my name's Maeve, obviously. I come from the East Coast. I'm very far from home. My home is in Reading, Connecticut, if that means anything to anybody in this chat. We've had a very eventful first couple weeks here working with the Condors. We've been doing a lot of tracking via radio telemetry and observing fledglings in the nest. Probably the coolest thing that we've done so far, we just did yesterday, was we were handling condors at Pinnacles National Park, replacing some of the tags and transmitters on those birds, and just being able to see these birds up close and being able to work with them hands-on is I really struggle to put into words how amazing that was to experience firsthand. I'm so thrilled to be here working with the Ventana Wildlife Society, working with the California Condors, and I'm really excited to see what this field season has to offer. So yeah, very nice to meet you all.
Yeah, I'm a little more local than Maeve. I'm from the Central Valley in California, from Tulare, down there. And yeah, Maeve pretty much hit it nail on the head. So much cool stuff with this organization. I mean, I think both of us are huge Condor nerds, and it's awesome to be on a team of, part of a group that shares that passion for these awesome birds. And yeah, great spending time with them.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you guys on, and it's just going to get more exciting. We got the pre-release birds coming, which that's going to be Maeve and Isaiah are going to be spending a lot of time with those guys and getting to know them and their personalities, and our viewers are going to want to hear from you guys firsthand about our newest rookies, which we hope will be showing up in the next few weeks. More to come on that, but yeah. Great to have you guys on board. And yeah, that yesterday sounded pretty awesome. I wish I was there with you, but it sounds like you guys and Darren had a good time. Anything you want to add there, Darren?
No, just grateful to have you guys here. And yeah, it's just every moment that we've been able to spend with you guys so far. It's been rewarding, for just as equally rewarding for us to work with you both, who are equally as passionate about condors as all of us. So yeah, that's just been it's been great working with you guys, and yeah, really looking forward to the next few months with you all.
Awesome. Cool. We had an exciting, we have our, once a year, we have a Condor powwow. It's all the partners get together and get together for a field team meeting, and basically all the different partners give updates about their programs, whether it's Oakland Zoo or a field program like us. The photo on the left there is Darren manning the PowerPoint up there in front of a lot of people. How'd it go, Darren?
It was good. I was probably talking at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but no, it was a lot of fun. It was cool to give that update, and then just hear from all the field crews was really special too. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's always interesting to give updates to your peers, right? It's like to other Condor folks. So yeah, there's a little more pressure there, but yeah, Darren did it, knocked it out of the park. And Kara, I don't think you're quite the wingspan of a Condor.
I know. I was gonna say they're way bigger than I am, but that was the first time I had done that, so that was really cool. But as you see, they got 3 feet on me.
Yeah, Oakland Zoo. By the way, if anybody ever has a chance to go up there and check it out, it is an awesome. They've expanded to that new. They got that new upper habitat with the grizzly bears, wolves, condors. A little gondola ride up. You see the bison. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. So I'm glad you guys got to go around and check out the zoo and see the different exhibits. So,
Hey, Joe,
are really important partners. Sorry.
so this is a great place to jump in. I just got an email from Oakland Zoo today. They announced a $10,000 grant to support condor recovery. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to thank them. I literally just saw the email right before the chat. And the trail that you're thinking of is called the California Trail, and it is amazing. Oakland Zoo is a leader in the field, and they do a lot of work with us to recover condors in the wild. So thanks again, Oakland Zoo.
Yeah, they have a treatment facility we use for our lead sick birds, which has really been incredibly valuable. And yeah, awesome to hear about the grant. So if I could capitalize that thank you to Oakland Zoo, I would. But yeah, like we say, it takes a village for this condor recovery stuff, and partners like Oakland Zoo and all of our other partners are just so important. So that's awesome. So HPI, things are moving along. Obviously, Arizona, Utah, there has been no change there, no additional deaths. That is calmed down, thank God. And they've gotten those birds out that were positive for HPI but recovered. So they've been released, which is really good news. And in terms of the vaccine trials, the trials were completed on the vultures, and there was a really good, they got really good response from the vaccine in terms of the titers. They found 90% protection in the double dose trial, and then 70% protection in the single dose. The Condor vaccination trials are completed. Again, they did the same setup as they did with the Black Vultures, 2 groups. One group received the single dose, one group received the double dose. No adverse effects were observed. The titer results are pending in terms they're in, but they're still being analyzed, and we hope to hear by early October, next week basically, on how our path forward. And so that path forward is back to what we were talking about, our pre-release rookies and the timing of getting those birds. The final titer results will basically determine how many doses we go with. So, if we go with 1 or 2, it has implications in terms of our timing of when we can get these birds to the release sites. So, yeah, this will definitely let us know. We're hoping, we can get the birds to San Simeon mid to late October to stay within our weather window. That obviously we'd like the birds to stay and acclimate for at least a month in the pen before we release them. So October would give us most of November, and we could potentially get the birds out before Christmas. We get later than that, it starts to get really tight. But yeah, we're keeping our fingers crossed that we'll have a decision next week, and we can start moving forward, at least getting these birds out to where they need to go. And this is not only for us; this is for the other release sites: Northern California, Southern California, Arizona. Our rebuild update, it's going great. This is the cabin. It's been pretty much the walls and roof are done. The windows are in, the doors are about to go in next. The blue stuff you see is that's a waterproofing wrap they put on the building. And what will go over that is the final exterior, which would be metal steel siding, which would go all the way down to the ground. And the same with on the roof, and underneath the eaves of the building will be all metal. And again, this is all for fire protection. So it's starting to get closer and closer. We're getting pretty darn excited. Obviously, it doesn't include the interior work, but our goal right now is just really to get this exterior wrapped up, not only for fire season, but for the pending winter. Winter is just around the corner. We might actually get rain on Saturday. And obviously the storms are just going to start stacking up as we get into, December, January. So, yeah, so things are looking good on that front. Here's some more pictures. The interior is looking beautiful. Very spacious, and obviously this will look a lot different when it's done on the interior. But and then on the left there, kind of looking out through the back door out to the front of the building, it's just pretty awesome to see it coming together. It's been quite the project, and challenging by all standards, because of where we're building this thing is very remote. It's from Big Sur. It's an hour and a half up to this spot, so it's definitely a big push. We're trying to get this thing done by winter. So things are moving along and staying on track. So we're excited. So Central California population, we are at 92 condors. That number came down a little bit. We did lose or confirm that one of our nestlings did fail. And so that number dropped a little bit, but we still have, we're going to get more into that. We still have 4 chicks out in the wild. 3 are still in the nest pre-fledge, and we did confirm 1 fledge. And again, we'll get more into that. Again, the 2023 pre-release rookies are pending. We're hoping they get up here in October. So we can get Maeve and Isaiah helping those birds acclimate. But in general, our condor deaths, including the 2 nestlings we lost this season, we're at 8. And just for comparison, that's where we ended up last year. So we were at 8 condor deaths in 2022. And we wanted to introduce you to our 10 pre-release rookies. We have 7 birds coming from Oregon Zoo, our partners up in Oregon, and we have 3 coming from LA Zoo. The distribution of gender, we have 6 females and 4 males. I don't know if we've mentioned it before, but our wild flock is male heavy. We don't really know why it's trending that way, but to help counteract that, they're in captivity. They're trying, when they distribute release birds, they're trying to give the field sites more females, so we can kind of balance things out. But yeah, that's kind of exciting. So you can see the stud book numbers are getting higher and higher. We got 1123 and all the way down 1124 to 1170 down there at the bottom. So pretty crazy when you consider one of our birds is 168, our oldest bird. He's back down in the hundreds, just 3 digits. So it's interesting to see. It's encouraging to see the numbers getting so high and so big. I think that's a sign of the success of the program. And without further ado, we got nesting, and I'm going to hand off the baton to Darren and Kara.
I can take it over.
Awesome, Kara. Yeah,
Um,
exciting stuff, huh?
Yeah, so Joe kind of already touched on this, but we do have 4 active nests still. So we have 2 out here on the coast and then 2 kind of over inland. So 646 and 204, that's kind of the announcement. So that chick has left the nest. So it has officially fledged last Friday. Is that what it is? Yeah, last Friday. And then 538 Miracle and 219 Puff Daddy's chick 1229 is still doing great. It's set to fledge on October 6th, but there's some photos later on. But that chick's looking great, and honestly, it looks like it could fledge any day. The kind of unfortunate one is 550 and 652 Ferdinand. Their chick 1230, we officially kind of declared as failed. We had gone back and kind of done nest observations. I think we ended up doing like 4 after the last time that we had seen 652 there, with kind of no activity, parents not coming to the nest. So we kind of realized that that one hadn't made it. At the age of our last kind of nest check, we would have seen the chick. It would have been active. It would have been like kind of crawling all over the branches and visible, and it just wasn't. So we're not quite sure what happened there. It's kind of a mystery. A lot of nest failures are mysteries to us. But yeah, so we still have the 2. The 2 are still going super strong. And then the 2 over at Pinnacles are also going super strong. So we have 236 Tiny and 340. That chick 1238 is set to fledge November 7th. And then 569 Phoebe and 589 chick 1215 is set to fledge November 3rd. And chick 15, just like 1229, they both have their tags and transmitters, but 1204 and 1238, they'll be untagged when they eventually show up at the release site. So it'll be kind of a mystery when they arrive. But yeah, all those 4 are still doing great. So yeah, here's our 1204. You can see all those beautiful flight feathers kind of helped him or her get out of the nest and kind of make moves in the canyon. But yeah, here's 204 and chick 1204. Looks like he or she's trying to get some food. But you can kind of see the size comparison too. Like those chicks are just as big as their parents. But yeah,
this was Kara, this is when me and Meredith were out there.
Nice.
As part of our Condor Canyon filming, we've been going out to try to document a lot of this stuff and bringing Meredith, who's our #1 camera person. And we captured this pretty cool moment right after the chick had fledged. We found, I was able to spot the chick down on this branch, and then Dad came in to try to feed. And we were able to capture the entire sequence on film, which was pretty awesome. And this is kind of a frame grab from that. You can see the full thing once Condor Canyon comes out. But pretty cool to watch Dad. This was a funny sequence because he tried to come in 2 times before, and 1204 was so excited he wouldn't let him on the branch. So he was trying to land on the same branch, and it's really flimsy. So it was doing this, like when you added another condor, the thing really started leaning. And so he jumped down to this lower branch. And then right after this, he flew off, and then he came in and he landed to the left of the chick up on the higher part of the branch, and then was able to feed. But it wasn't straightforward. It was pretty interesting to see the problem solving by the parent trying to navigate an overly excited chick that was probably pretty scared. It had just left the nest. You know, this spot it was perched is probably about 30 feet away from the nest tree. You know, it doesn't seem far, but that might as well be 100 miles away for this little guy or gal. So yeah, it was funny to watch. You can see the chicks in that pose. It's, they roll their wings when they want to solicit food from mom and dad, and it's pretty wild to watch. But yeah, anyway. And then we have another photo here. One of the things I just noticed, as a biologist, I just love these chicks right when they leave the nest. They're so perfect. The feathers on this bird are immaculate, and this is the only time in their life they will be this immaculate. Once they get out on the wing, they will get beat up, and they will get flight feather wear and broken feathers, when they do crash landings. And it's just a really beautiful time to observe them. It's kind of magical. They're almost too perfect. And it's just the classic pristine, young bird going out into the wild. So yeah, these Meredith caught some really amazing video of this chick's feathers when it was flapping its wings and moving around on the branch. So big shout out to Meredith. All right, I think that takes us to the next nest here. This was, I think, Maeve and Isaiah were on this nest check, right?
Yeah, this was these photos were from this past Tuesday. Maeve, Isaiah, and I were all able to go out and check on 1229, see how she was doing. And yeah, fortunately, when we first showed up, the mom 538 Miracle was there, not quite there in the cavity or with the chick, but on the same cliff face, just like perched above, hanging out, just kind of looking around and making sure things were all good. And yeah, 1229 is still hanging out near the nest cavity. She hasn't officially fledged, but she's actually climbed her way into another cavity from the cavity where she hatched. So she's still very close to that original nest cavity, just found a bit of a bigger space that I think is more comfortable for her and also provides more shade, because it gets a lot of sun out there. And so it gets pretty hot pretty quick. So most of the time when we've seen 1229 recently, she's been hanging out in the shade. But yeah, she's looking really good. I mean, she's looking really close to like what 1204 looks like. Like Kara was saying, she could really fledge any day now, it seems. And yeah, I mean, her expected fledge date's October 6th, which is coming right up. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next time we head out there, or the Pinnacles heads out there to check on her, if we see that she's left this cavity and officially fledged.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool how close they are to that 6-month mark in general across the board over the years. They literally almost right at 180 days fledged. Like, so 1204 was really close, right? Like 170. Do you guys remember?
I think 178. I think we said the 23rd and it was the 21st.
It's
So
great. It's usually within a few days. I mean, it's kind of amazing that we see that consistency across the board. So I'm excited to see if this bird is flown the coop when you guys go back out and check. But I also want to say a big shout out for the photos, because I know how far away this nest is, and you guys are holding your iPhones up to the scope. So nice work, man.
We try our best.
It's
Sure.
pretty darn good. I mean, you can definitely tell what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was also Maeve and Isaiah are gonna kind of put you guys on the spot again here. But yeah, this was the first, within your first week, we were able to take you out to this nest and get you out there again. So yeah, I mean, was there anything like new for you that you didn't previously know, or like anything that stood out about like getting to see a condor nest like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty surreal, honestly, like to see this big bird sitting up on the cliff face. Yeah, their nests are so funky. I mean, it's just, I mean, these photos kind of show it's just kind of out in the open up there, which is sort of surprising, I guess. And yeah, mom just hanging out, just to the side of her when we were out there was pretty cool to see.
I mean, just like Isaiah said, it was a very fun and interesting experience. As somebody like myself who's done a lot of field work, I haven't actually had the chance yet to do like live nest observations before out in the field. So this was something that was new for me, and I got to experience sort of what goes into that. It was a lot more of kind of analyzing behavior than I had, I guess, previously seen. So kind of observing how the bird was, like she had escaped her nest cavity, she had gone further up. The fact that she was moving around and selecting areas that were shaded, where, told us that she was not only healthy and able to move herself around, but was also making decisions that were healthy for her. And so, the observing little details like that, observing, that her mother was nearby and, that she was being watched and being cared for, all important details to pick up on that, we learned how to do while we were out in the field with Darren and Danae. So yeah, it was lots of fun, learned very much.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll hopefully get you guys out there the next time we go, and maybe find that this the 1229 is fledged, which will be exciting, because it'll kind of like with 1204, we'll probably look around and see if she's made it to somewhere nearby and see what she's doing then.
Yeah, the more eyes you have, it's good if that bird does a big flight,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and then so the unfortunate news, and Kara did a good job explaining this too, but yeah, I mean, we did officially call this nest that 652 and 550 had with their chick 1230. We declared it failed. Yeah, I mean, just over the past few months, each time we went out, and especially comparing it to like 1204 and 1229, I mean, we were just seeing like a completely different, just having completely different observations from those nests. Like, we weren't seeing a chick or any movement in the cavity at all. 652 and 550 weren't present at, like, really at any time, and not even through radio signals. We wouldn't even pick up their radio signals when we were out there. So just with all that time that had passed, and really not seeing anything comparable to the other nests that we would have expected to see, like expecting to see a lot more chick activity and parent chick interaction, we just decided it was time to call this this nest failed. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens. And yeah, we're still just glad to have the 4 nests we have going.
Yeah, this pair has been successful. They've got an interesting history, but I think
Yeah.
the photo on the right, Tim's photo, here's a good reminder that this pair knows how to do it. This is 1095, their last wild fledged, and this bird's just doing great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been encouraging, and I mean, something we typically see with these pairs, if they do fail, they'll try to nest again in the following year. So wouldn't be a surprise at all to see 550 and 652 give it another go this upcoming breeding season.
Yeah, probably at that same cavity, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't always work out for these pairs, but good thing they usually bounce back and give it a go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, here's the 2 chicks from Pinnacles or Inland more. Obviously, these are not updated photos. The chicks are quite a bit larger than this, but you have 1215 and 1238. Does not seem to be happy that anyone's there. But yeah, 1215 has, I think it's a female. I kind of forget off the top of my head, but his or her tags and transmitters, and then 1238 again won't get tags or transmitters until they come to the facility, and they just decided not to do that 120-day entry. Kind of depending on the nesting site, it's kind of just safer to kind of hold off and not enter the nest. You never want to force fledge the chick, so this was kind of one of those scenarios where it's just safer to kind of not go in and do that last entry, and let the chick come to the facility and trap it like an untagged. And then we have Evan's glorious map. So as some of you have probably heard, we did have a whole group of condors go up to Mount Diablo. So this wasn't the first time, but this definitely was kind of like the most of them. So over here on, I guess it's your guys's left, if you're looking at the screen, we have the flight paths from 706 and 716, who flew up kind of in that area back in 2017. And then we also have the flight path of 828, who made it all the way up to Mount Diablo in 2021. And I think she still holds the record. I think she got just a tiny bit further than this group that went up there on September 7th. But yeah, that group included 692, 726, 943, 970, 1021, and 1079. And you can kind of see all of their flight paths over here on the right. But yeah, the birds are definitely moving, and it's awesome to see them kind of expand their range and explore. We were all joking that they all went up there because we were at the Oakland Zoo. So they knew all the Condor folk were at Oakland, so they decided to join us as well. But yeah, it's really cool to see like how far north they're traveling and just exploring that landscape.
Yeah, that area, we've been getting a lot of questions about, is this really, the condors are going up there? Does it have condor habitat? And the answer is clearly yes. This is from the Save Mount Diablo website, and you can see some of the amazing cliff formations. And then beyond the cliff formations, you have that open grassland habitat, which is really good for foraging. So it checks all the boxes, really. And honestly, if the habitat's there, the condors will find it. And I think it's really cool. Yeah, here's another cool photo of some amazing rock formations up there. This is, I think, Curry Canyon, a newly acquired chunk that they're going to protect up there. So yeah, it's an exciting area for the condors to be going. And yeah, there's plenty of habitat up there. And on that route up there, they go through Henry Coe State Park, which is a huge protected area, an amazing potential condor habitat for the birds. And yeah, lots of foraging, lots of water on Henry Coe, lots of great roosting. And then, that's a perfect transition north up to this Mount Diablo area. So believe it or not, there's lots of habitat still left out there, and it's being protected. So that's great. So yeah, we're excited to see. We kind of anticipated this. We've been seeing this trend of the birds moving more and more every summer. They go up. We had a couple go up. Now we have 6 go up, and the trend is just getting more and more frequent. And the birds have been going to Henry Coe pretty regularly. So we're pretty excited by the movement. And then again, we also still have our bird 1027, who actually is going the other direction. And she came back for a little visit, but then she flew the coop again, right?
Yeah, I think she's hanging out by Sequoia Kings Canyon again. So she definitely hangs out in Southern California with the Southern California flock, and then she'll like come back up here and then leave again. So she's done that a couple times, but I don't know. Hopefully we don't lose her, but we'll see. She definitely
That would be the
likes it down
first.
there.
We lost a
Yeah.
couple 10 years ago. We lost 2 of our females. The Southern California habitat was just too much for them, so they didn't come back.
Mhm. I was going to say also
27's on the fence. I don't know. The trend is definitely going to her sticking around down there.
yeah, we were kind of like arguing over her at the field team meeting, like who is going to keep her. But obviously she makes her own decisions, so we have no say in that.
And really, that's what we want. We want that
Yeah.
mixing. This is what's going to reestablish the range. So these are the trends we like to see with the movements. And we just know as we get more birds out there, this is going to become more commonplace. And, sky's the limit, no pun intended, of where they can go. They can follow these mountain ranges as far as they want. So yeah, pretty exciting implications. I think so I've got to get more birds out there. And this is the most exciting thing today. This is our little surprise. We want you to help us name 1204, our little redwood gem. And the crew came up with 3 names they want you guys to vote on. We have Jade. For those that are familiar with Big Sur, jade is a very unique stone, too big. So the Big Sur jade is very unique, beautiful green gemstone. It's crafted into jewelry. It's for the locals in Big Sur. It's a very important gemstone, kind of represents Big Sur. There's a Big Sur Jade Festival. It's pretty appropriate, and the condors are right in jade habitat with condors. So that would make sense. And another name, otter, came up, and obviously sea otters are very important to the Central Coast. They were a safe haven for the species when they thought they went extinct. There was a remnant population that hid out on the Big Sur coast that helped basically bring sea otters back. So again, and condors have actually fed on sea otters before, so the dead ones, of course. So they have provided a food source to the birds. I know folks don't like to think of it that way, but it's part of the ecosystem. And then, of course, garnet, for the famous purple sand. For those of you that have been to Big Sur beaches, garnet is the mineral. It has purple qualities, and so when it leaches into the sand, it turns it purple. And it's a very unique Big Sur Big Sur stone. So and Big Sur, the purple sand of Big Sur is pretty famous. So those are the three names the crew came up with. So what I'm going to do is launch a poll, and you guys get to select your favorite name. We'll let the poll go for a while and answer questions while we're letting the polls do its thing, and then I'll share the results. So we don't know who's going to win, so it's up to you guys to cast your vote today. So we're pretty excited. So I'm going to launch that right now.
Joe, if you can, you should let the panelists vote. So Maeve and Isaiah include.
Are we allowed to vote? I don't know. Are we?
I think you can select it, but if not, I understand. But I guess we have other names to come up with later on.
Okay, can everyone see it?
Oh, it worked.
Everyone see it okay? Oh boy, it's taken off.
Don't be too surprised, Kara.
Yeah.
Joe's pretty good at this stuff,
It's a Zoom now.
So Mike, you want to go ahead and get us into the questions?
Sure. I noticed that the panelists cannot vote, so
I see that as well.
Yep,
Hey, we
same.
got to choose the three names. Come on.
You're right. You're right. I was just saying so Maeve and Isaiah can join.
Well, I didn't get to choose those names. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You came up with the big long list, remember?
I don't know what the winner's going to be, but Otter was really trending on the chat for a while, and then Jade started catching up, and then there's a few Garnets in there. But I guess we'll see the results soon. Beth and Robin were interested in the Mount Diablo Condor visit, and I think that you've covered that quite well. It's very exciting to have birds in Contra Costa County again. I read the headline first time in over 100 years, I guess. So it's great that the condors are out exploring. Thanks, Beth and Robin, for your questions. Jan wants to know a little bit more about nest checks. What is a nest check like? What are the parents' reaction? Are they always the same, or do the parents act different? Does it depend on the age or maturity level of the parents? What can you tell us about what it's like to go check a nest? And I'll maybe invite Maeve and Isaiah, since you're fresh on this. Tell me what you see at these nests when you arrive.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a pretty cool experience. You head out there to the nest site with all of the spotting equipment and radio trackers, and get eyes on the nest and the chick, and kind of see what it's up to, and get to watch it for a little while and see how it's interacting, if its parents around, which last time we went out it was. So get to see some fun interactions from the parent to the chick, or just like it kind of looking down at you, like seeing what we're up to. And yeah,
Isaiah, how far away from the nests are you? Are you at quite a distance where I guess you're looking through a scope? So I guess maybe the parents maybe don't know that you're there. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely a good ways away from it. We're using spotting scopes and things to be able to look at them, and really detecting the parents and things through radio telemetry first. But yeah, definitely not anywhere like right up on the nest. Yeah.
And how far is a typical nest hike? You just throw up these nice pictures and that, well, we went to check this nest, we checked that nest, and you make it sound all so easy. But what does it take to actually hike to one of these nests?
Yeah, it was quite remote. Yeah, it took. Not quite sure how long the hike was, but a decent hike out with the equipment that we needed. And yeah, the nests are high up on a sort of rocky cliff face. Not really the kind of spot that I think I don't know would one would think would be very easy to like look into. So yeah, sort of difficult to get out there and check on it, but a very rewarding experience nonetheless.
And Joe, you've actually climbed up to nests before. What can you tell us in answer of Jan's question about how the adult parents respond to your much closer visit to a nest?
Yeah, it's always really interesting. Actually, there was a pair that nested 219 nested the same spot that they're nesting right now with a different female, 310, and I had been into that nest a few times, and I just remember when you come down, the pair are definitely surprised you're there. It's almost like they're as surprised as you are. And I think it's just so odd to them. I think they're so surprised to see you that they don't really react like you think they would. They're not very aggressive, which is kind of a good thing, because if they were very aggressive and stressed out, we probably wouldn't do these nest entries. But they're very accommodating. Honestly, they will sit by most of the time. They'll stay close. And sometimes while we're working with the nestling, the parents would be probably like within a 3-4 feet of us. And we've had it before where they'll start nibbling on our backpacks, and I had one almost pull my backpack off a cliff, stuff like that. So they're just kind of curious of why you're there. It's a really interesting interaction. Anybody that's done it will say the same thing. It's just not what you expect. They're almost as curious with you as you are with them, and it's not in an aggressive way. It's really interesting. And then we do have some pairs that are less tolerant. They definitely get a little more upset and over the years, some of the older pairs. So we tend to avoid doing anything at their nest. But yeah, for the most part, they're as curious as we are. It's definitely one of the more interesting things I've ever done as a biologist. Climbing into a condor nest has been one of the more amazing experiences.
Well, we know that the chicks reach adult size fairly quickly. Like when they're fledged, they're pretty big. But what about their ability to fly? Do those pristine, perfect feathers make them adept at flying very early on, or is there a pretty steep learning curve? Kara, you've watched some of these young birds out in the field. What can you tell us about their ability to learn to fly, and are the parents coaching them up a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, the parents are definitely better flyers than them. They're still really good flyers, but they are a little more clumsy, and you can kind of tell a young bird flying because their tail feathers are they're really using them as like a rotor. So you can watch them kind of overturn. And then the crash landings are always good too. They're pretty clumsy when they're trying to like figure out how to slow down and land. But they pick it up pretty quickly. But yeah, it definitely takes them a little bit of time.
And certainly collisions with power lines are certainly a worry at that young age, and a lot of the lines in that area have been retrofit or buried to help alleviate some of that concern. Joe, Mike would like to know how far or close are we to having condor wild fledges fully replace the mortalities? And you've provided some numbers right here in this talk, but maybe you can speak on a year-to-year basis. How close are we to that self-sustainability equation that we're so interested in?
Yeah, I would say we're getting closer. We're not quite there yet. Just looking at the numbers for this year, for example, looks like we're going to have 4 fledged into the wild, and we lost 8. So we're not quite breaking even there. And again, it will fluctuate year to year, but as Kelly pointed out at the beginning, the lead poisoning factor is really the difference every year. It really comes down, if we didn't have those lead poisoning deaths, we would definitely be above that threshold, basically producing more in the wild than we are losing. So it's why it's so important right now that we keep releasing until we can get past this lead issue, and continue to work closely on the work you do with ranchers and hunters and getting folks to use non-lead. But yeah, fortunately we're very close, and we know we have one obstacle here to get past. And other issues like HPI obviously is a big factor, but we're trying to get in front of that. And then you have these anomalous events like the fire in 2020, which had a devastating impact on our flock. But those are more anomalous. We really think the lead is just really, it's there every year. We really need to get past that one, and we really think the flock is trending in the right direction on that front. So that's really the goal we're working towards. And obviously, as population grows, we get more birds breeding, we get more birds fledging in the wild, and it just keeps going up, so.
And Joe, I feel like we've seen glimpses of where we want to be. There have been some years where the productivity has been very close or equal or even exceeded a little bit the mortality. We've had some really good years where we feel like this is a glimpse of the future and we are quite close. And then we have these sort of episodic mortality events like the fire in Arizona, like the avian flu, and then periodic surges in lead poisoning. And so it's just more incentive for us to keep working, because we know that we can reach that self-sustainability issue if we continue what we're doing with our outreach with hunters and ranchers.
Yeah, we know the birds they know how to do everything else. They know how to reproduce in the wild. They know how to find food, plenty of habitat out there for them, so it's just really getting some of these hazards out of their way, some of these threats, and it'd be smooth sailing, no pun intended.
Yeah, I often say that the birds are doing the right things, and we just need to give them a little bit help with the human impacts.
Yeah, they haven't forgotten how to be condors, put it that way.
Yeah, that's right. I'll pose another question, but Christy is asking if we could repost the slide that has the total number of birds from this year, births, losses, etc.
Sure. I'm going to do that after I wrap up the poll.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid if I switch screens, it might. I've never done this, so I don't want to.
Well, I'll throw another question at you. This comes from Autumn, and then also Phyllis is interested in this too. Any attempt to recover the deceased chick for a post-mortem? You've obviously had experience climbing up to these nests, but I also know that you can't get to all of them. What about this particular one that failed?
Yeah, this one that failed, we have been in before, but we haven't been in. That whole area burned in the 2020 Dolo fire. And we would have to check in with state parks and do a whole tree health assessment to make sure it's safe to even climb again. And that area has been pretty devastated by the fire. The trails are barely, they're just coming back in. Right now, it's just not in the cards to climb up there, but we hope to get to that point once again. But again, it's just working with our partners at state parks. And right now, that area is still really freshly damaged. It was over 3 years ago, but it's a pretty devastated area. It's hard to tell on those pictures when we're zoomed in, but if we panned out, you would see that the base of that tree has been burned. So we'd want to reassess whether we can even climb that tree. So it's that's kind of where we're at. So the weighing out the human risk, the health, our risk versus the reward it's definitely not there in terms of taking the risk to go up there and find that information out. There's just too much risk.
Yeah, and I'm amazed at the number of nests that you are able to get to, considering that safety is the number one priority. We've learned that some pairs seem to not be successful with their nest the first go around. Like there is an experience factor. Darren, you've gotten to know these pairs over the years that you've been with Ventana. Vlad wants to know, what have the veteran dads or moms, I guess, learned that helps drive nest success? What are some of the things that you think that experience is giving these parents?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think it could be a number of things, but, just some things that come into mind now. I think part of it is, something could be just like the nest location itself, where they choose to where they choose the nest, like what cavity that is, and then like learning about, if they have a failure at this one place, learning kind of like what maybe about that location didn't make it ideal. And then we'll see, because a lot of times we'll see pairs fail at one location and then they might move to a different one and then have success. And that new location might be like something might be just a little bit different, or it might be totally different, and that could help or be sort of an explanation as to why they failed the first time at a different location where they had success at another. I think part of it too is just kind of learning, like just like learning what it is to be a condor parent and how attentive they have to be at those nests. And sometimes I think like we'll see a lot of our birds that just reach breeding age will try to nest, and that's as you mentioned, Mike, and those first attempts can be a little rocky. And so I think when they're just starting out, when they've just reached breeding age, they still they still have a lot to learn in that first attempt. So I think there's definitely kind of a learning curve with nesting, just having that experience. Yeah, I mean, other things too, just kind of going back to location, like, if a nest if they experience like a predation, like if a chick's been predated, that might be another reason where they end up shifting their location for their next nest attempt and then having success. So yeah, there could be a number of things that go into it.
Yeah,
Hey, Mike, I want to jump in real quick. The poll has finished. We had 159 of 159 participated, and the results are in. It looks like Jade is the name of 1204. Congrats, everybody. I like it.
yeah. Well, welcome, Jade. Jade just sort of ran away with it. And,
I know it was a landslide, kind of. Look at that, 63%.
And those are all good names, as folks on the chat have noted, and I suspect that maybe those other two names won't necessarily go away.
No,
They might come back, and I'm guessing that there are probably some condors to be named later on here as we get our pre-release birds situated.
oh, that's right. Yes, we will.
Yeah. Do we know how long the are the birds in at Mount Diablo? Are they still there, or have they left? What does the GIS data say?
Yeah, I believe they're right down. They've left.
Yeah, they're out of that area now, but still spending quite a bit of time up in Henry Coe. But yeah, they've mostly left the Mount Diablo area.
Okay, so Sharon, if you go to Mount Diablo, I guess don't necessarily expect to see the condors, but it's worth a visit anyway, just for the hiking there. And so we're about out of time. I want to thank the 171 folks who joined us from all over the country. Thank you so much for spending the last Thursday of the month with us, and I hope you join us next time. I think we're on for October 26th, and at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I will throw it back to you, Joe, if you have any closing words for us.
Yeah, I mean, just to wrap up, big thanks to our BWS tracking program volunteers. They have just been doing incredible, as well as our Explore.cam viewers. And I wanted to talk about the explore.org cam real quick. Obviously, the Big Sur cams have been offline. We're going through some upgrades. Explore.org, we were the prototype for the Starlink internet system. We were one of the first of the organizations they work with to try this out. So they're tweaking things, and I'm supposed to get some new equipment to install that will hopefully get the cameras back online. We still have our San Simeon camera going strong right now. It's a little slow, but it's going to pick up real quick when those pre-release birds show up. And again, we'll be doing the live releases this year, you know, with the crew and of course with Isaiah Maeve giving the play-by-play. So that's something to look forward to. We don't have the dates yet, but obviously we look forward to that every year. That's a great event. You know, it's a live release event. And, you know, we're glad our San Simeon cam has been consistent through all this. This is that's on a different internet system. Our friends at Ranch Wi-Fi who provide that. So back in Big Sur, we're hoping to get the Starlink up and running and get all systems go. And we're going to be adding a camera down at the new release pen. So there's going to be some exciting stuff coming up. We appreciate your patience. Obviously, we love our diehard cam followers. So much appreciate your patience in all this. Obviously, we're threading a needle out there getting these cams going where we do. They're pretty remote. And again, Explorer's doing everything they can to get that expedited. So again, it's going to happen. I'm hoping next few weeks we'll have it back up and running. So again, thanks everybody for their patience. And Mike, did someone request the population slide? Should I go back to that real quick before we sign off?
Yes, we have time for that. And also someone wants to know about Anico. If any of you want to pipe in about latest
Aaron?
sightings of Anico.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no major updates with the Nico. She's doing great. I mean, really like she's been spending more time in Big Sur recently, I believe. And I mean, these past few times we've seen her, she has been letting the other birds know that she is one of the top birds in her cohort. So yeah, she's doing great. Really becoming a dominant presence in the flock.
And any of you who are not familiar with the Nico, I encourage you to go watch our film Giants of Big Sur. It's under films and shorts under our website. She's one of the main characters in that story. I would imagine most of you know all about Anico, but just in case, I wanted to mention that. And unless there's anything else, I think we're at time here. And I just want to thank everybody, our attendees especially, and Anthony for providing sign language services. It's just so great to see all of you. So thanks again.
Good seeing you, everyone.
Good night.
See you next month.